name's Dom Illidge, and I'm an occasional writer here at Pathetic Industries, and joining me is...
I'm Jack, I'm an occasional actor here at Pathetic Industries.
And this is a new segment called Talkin Bout Sports. You're going to be listening to us, we're going to be chatting, and well, whether you like it or not, should be fun. Well, at least for us anyway.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's start with the big thing that happened over the summer, the Ashes. 5-0. How does that happen?
Well, basically what happened is Australia's bowling was too good. I mean, England was fluttering about. At best, this should have been a 2-1 series, one way or the other. But England on attack with the bowling was just weak, and Australia could exploit everything thrown at them. Whereas when they were batting, the bowling was just coming at them, far too well from the Australians for them to do anything about it. There's nothing they could do.
Well, I mean, let me just read some of this. All right, some of these stats that I got quickly from Cricinfo. The 8 highest partnerships in the series were between Australians. 8 highest, and the 9th was English and the 10th was Australian. So 9 out of 10 highest partnerships were between Australians. Most runs conceded in an innings by a bowler, the top 13 were English. The top 13. The 6 highest run scorers were Australian, with David Warner at the top, and probably my man of the series, Brand Haddon, underneath him. Then we had England lost all 100 wickets, which I think has happened a couple of times, but it's the first time it's actually happened to England, I'm fairly sure. And let me read this between the 2 best players that really destroyed, Australia. Johnson, 37 wickets in the series. 2.74 economy. He was only going for 2.74 runs in over. He was taking wickets every 13.97 runs and every 30.5 balls.
That's pretty damn good.
I know.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you can't really compete with something like that. I mean, if you have a good fast bowler who can throw a little bit of spin in when he wants to, I mean, Johnson gets away with murder there.
Oh, well, it was ridiculous. He's bowling at 150 kilometres per hour. Sorry, miles. That would... 150 miles per hour. I think Piers Morgan might even not bother about tweeting about that. I mean,
it wasn't just be a broken rib.
More than a broken effing arm. Yeah. It would be the thing. But I mean, that was the bowling side. Now, the batting of Australia wasn't like amazing. It was still pretty good because England were throwing up meat pies every second ball, and I'm sure Australia were enjoying hitting those. But Haddon scored 393 runs with the highest average of the series at 61. I mean, whenever your wicketkeeper goes out and scores 61, that's pretty good. And obviously a 71.55 strike rate, which in Test cricket is amazing, with 118 high score.
It's just, for people who haven't been paying close attention, having seen the Ashes, early, mid-2013, it was basically, it could have gone either way. It should have been a 2-1 series once again.
Yeah, definitely.
And the weather meant that instead of being a 3-2 series, it was a 3-0 series to England. So
yeah, because there was sorry to interrupt. I mean, there was a couple of times where Australia was in a position to actually win the match, and I mean, being England, Lorraine's like, well, we don't really,
we need England to win here. Sorry, yeah. Australia. But instead, when they come down here, it's they leave their form at home. Australia's kept theirs going, and Australia and England haven't been playing well lately, but if you're up against opposition that usually they're playing well, and they're doing really badly compared to how they're usually going, you're going to slaughter them.
Well, I mean, let's go through going through the English squad. You've got guys like Cook, Peterson, Trott at the start of the series before he went home, Swan again, another who retired, Jimmy Anderson, even Stuart Broad, who boo, boo, boo. I mean, he was one of the few that played well. Bell, these are all class players.
Who would be a man of the series for England then?
For England? Stuart Broad. Or maybe Ben Stokes. I think Ben Stokes.
I'd have to go with Stokes.
Stokes did well. I mean, if you talk about England, man of the series full stop, I would say Haddon over Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even without Johnson, Australia still wins, but probably not by as much, but without Haddon. I mean, Haddon saved... Australia were 5 down.
Yeah. Haddon was the player you couldn't go about. Johnson was a player you want but didn't need.
Well, I mean, the funny thing about Johnson, I mean, he grows a moustache and suddenly, he's this...
Gets a handlebar.
Maybe that's how good he got. He just watched old footage of like Ian Botham or something and goes, the moustache, that's what I need. I need those. Oh, it worked. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who was on the scrap heap. I mean, you remember Johnson, he bowls to the left, he bowls to the right. And the old-fashioned thing, I mean, this time he wasn't bowling to the left, he was bowling...
Going to the feet.
Amazing. Well, he broke Broad's foot. Yeah. Well, almost. Okay. So, I mean, Okay, looking ahead, one of the problems I have with this Australian team is that they're very old. Johnson's 31, I think. Haddon's not playing in the next Ashes series. He might play for another year or so, but he's not playing in the next Ashes series. Rogers is kind of was born out of the womb at about 35. So I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. Clark's back could give way at any moment. I mean, somebody could I could just imagine him becoming a piano lifter, just like an old-fashioned piano lifter, getting it down and suddenly collapsing. I mean, this is the same. He could.
It's not that bad for Australia, really. When you consider that the best opening partnership that has been held by Australia before this series was between Cowan and Watson.
I remember the Ed Cowan experiment.
Yeah, but that was, you've got some young players coming through, and before this series they were the best that we had. So just because the experienced players may be leaving doesn't mean we don't have good young players coming through.
Well, I don't want to be pessimistic. I mean, they did just win 5-0. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive. And the thing is it's not as though there isn't young talent. I mean, guys like Pattinson didn't play any of the 5 matches, and James Pattinson probably at his best is the best bowler in Australia, unless Mitchell Johnson takes his Diran Lestray or PEDs or whatever he took. I'm not saying that he did, but I mean, a guy like Pattinson, a guy like Kalaja as well, who hasn't really gotten a go. Somebody put a voodoo curse on him or something.
He did have a go though, and he didn't really take it.
You're talking about in England.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was that controversial DRS decision, which I think DRS should get. We're not going to talk about that. I mean, we could be here for days, as much as the Test cricket game takes. But I mean, the interesting thing about this series, as you said, it should be 2-1.
Yeah.
I don't understand how England lost 5-0, but another little statistic I found. They scored over 300 twice in the series. They scored over 400. They didn't come anywhere near 400. They scored over 200 4 times, including those 2 300s. You can't win.
Yeah. You need to be aiming for 400 runs.
Yeah. So let's say I think it's 2 years from now, next Ashes, or whenever the next Ashes is. Do you essentially just put Mitchell Johnson, Michael Clark, Brad Haddon, and Chris Rogers in a room together and make sure nothing comes in, and you just make them wait there, wrap them in bubble wrap and make sure that nothing can touch them?
Yeah, that's basically what they did with. You remember what they did with the Wallabies before the Lions series? They just wrapped them up and said, "You can't do anything before the game." We need to be doing that.
Yes. The less said about that Lions series, the better, says the person sitting next to the ironic 2013 Australian Lions jersey. I mean. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of. This is me struggling with how to comprehend what's happened.
This is the stat that I think really shows how it fell apart for them. When it came to bowling, for instance, in the 5th Test, Australia didn't do well in their batting. England was bowling pretty well to handle them, but when it came to them having to handle our bowling, they took 7 wickets in less than an hour.
Are you talking about to finish the game off?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how the series was won right there. Just because their bowling was alright doesn't mean they can handle our bowling, and we destroyed them.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Let's move on. But I want to say one more thing. If you haven't seen it, Michael Carberry, who was the opening batsman for England, he's 33 by the way, so it's not like he's young. He's not come out of nowhere. Have you seen this? It's fantastic. He does a Viv Richards impression. It's hilarious. It's amazing. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's really, really funny. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about some English soccer or football. Yeah. By soccer we mean football, and the other way around. I'm probably going to say interchange between the two.
Yeah.
Football.
All right. Well, basically, 2013's just finished, and if you look over the year, you've got and look at the wins in the Premier League, you'll find that. Over the course of the year, Arsenal has won more games than Manchester City, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool.
All right. I get that.
So, it's unfortunate that's not given as an annual trophy, is it?
No.
But leading into this year, it's really difficult to see what's going to happen with the top of the table being so close in terms of everything.
Well, yeah, the top 3 are already separated by a win. I mean, if Chelsea wins, which is going to happen probably, but I mean, if Chelsea wins and City and Arsenal lose, or even City ties, that's
Yeah,
They're up the top. I mean,
that's the top three rearranged.
it'd be fantastic to see these three go down to the wire.
Yeah.
But I think, the stat that really jumps out to me about Arsenal, it's not how many they've scored. 18. 18 goals conceded.
Yeah.
Leads the league.
And if you consider that against Manchester City and against Aston Villa, combined, they've conceded 9 goals. If you take out those 2 games, it's 9 goals across the rest of their games, and they've played 20 games this year.
That's impressive.
It is not a case of, just winning through scoring lots of goals and, oh no, we conceded a couple here. 5-2 is nice to look at, but if you're winning every game 2-0, well, no one's going to beat you ever.
Yeah, well, something tells me if you're winning 5-2, as with any sport, whether it be soccer, lacrosse. Sorry, I know that was the second one. That was lacrosse. Oh, listen, I love watching lacrosse.
So the SBS.
Oh, no, it's not even SBS. It's like that NITV channel.
Yeah.
You watch the lacrosse. It's so amazing. There's those athletes. But, any sport, whether it be lacrosse, maybe not curling. We'll leave curling out of this. We got the Winter Olympics coming up, but ice hockey, American football, rugby, basketball. If you have a really good offense, it's not going to help you at some times, because that's something that can go on and off. If you have a really good defense,
the New Zealand coming through there.
Sorry, my bad.
But attack can be destroyed. A rainy day, and all of a sudden you aren't going to score a single point.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. In the rain, you can't rely on especially with those supposed studs they wear. They're going to slip over all the time. It'll be like a Benny Hill show episode.
Attack disappears very quickly, but defense sticks around. You have a good defensive attitude, and you're doing well. And I think most of that's coming down to the partnership between Koscielny and Mertesacker and the goalkeeping of Szczesny. Those three combined, as opposed to Czech. I think Czech, Lloris, and Szczesny are the 3 best goalkeepers in the Premier League.
Czech's been good for a really long time. I love watching Peter Czech. Okay, actually, I do want to talk about the FA Cup just a little, mainly for Schadenfreude reasons. Manchester United
losing to Swansea 2-1 at home.
I just want to have a quick look. I'll just keep talking while you go. So Man United, they're 7th at the moment, which, by the way, is fantastic. I love that. I love Man United being there. So Moyes, he is under so much pressure, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's gone. He's gone. He's not going to last the rest of the season. They're dumping him, surely.
You can't have a team like Manchester United, which admittedly they aren't star-studded, but that's not what matters. They're a team full of solid and consistent players, which means, you have a game going on. Oh no, one of our players is injured, we'll bring another in. And you've got a consistent team that all know each other. Most of them grew up in the Manchester system, so they know what's happening. And he's somehow losing with this team of good players who know each other.
So, there's an old adage in cricket, going back to cricket, that coach isn't needed. Shane Warne always believed that. That's why he smoked and drank and did whatever he did and ran around. But is a good manager needed? Let's look at Chelsea this year under
Mourinho.
Mourinho, yeah, compared to last year under Rafa. There's a marked difference, isn't there?
Yeah.
So managing is important. It's not as though, you can have 20 Ronaldos on your team on the benches and everything, and a couple of good goalkeepers. But, does it come down to that?
If you look at this, it's not like a case of Swansea got lucky. If you look at shots and then shots on goal, Manchester United only had 2 shots on target in the whole game. They had a 50% conversion record of their shots on target. They only scored 1 goal. That was a terrible game for them. They were offside 4 times, so that means they were pushing.
But that also means they were sloppy at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't say, yes, that means they're attacking corners. We don't.
No corner kicks at all. Swansea conceding 11 fouls and only conceding 1 goal.
11 fouls.
Yeah. You can't do that against a team like United and expect to win, and yet they won anyway. This is the marks of, a manager who's dragging a team down.
Let's look at this squad they played. They got Rio Ferdinand. He's a bit past his prime. That's probably not a top-level squad, the one that got there.
You look at it, Welbeck's arguably, with the exception of Rooney, Welbeck's been their best forward all season.
Well, those Rooney rumours to Chelsea. Not that I want him there, but
No. And you've got Ferdinand and Evans at the back. They're both good players. I mean, they are. If you don't have your, Patrice Evra, you're going for Ferdinand or Evans to fill a gap.
But let's look at it this way: Man United should be a team with the depth to have a decent cup run, right?
They should be making it to at least the 5th round.
Yeah, and this is 3rd, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Knocked out 3rd round to Swansea at home.
We're not piling on Man United. I mean, obviously, anyone who follows the EPL and doesn't follow Man United obviously hates them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just weird. I mean, it would be like if the All Blacks next year just suddenly came 3rd in the Rugby Championship. Obviously, Australia comes 4th in this scenario. But
Hard to finish shock win.
I think their time's coming. I think that all it will take is a big forward push.
But I get what you're saying. I mean, it's basically the giant who's falling for no reason, and you have to look at the one thing that's changed, and that's the manager. Whether that was Sir Alex Ferguson being a great manager, or whether it's just Moyes screwing around.
I don't think we can ever question how great a manager Alex Ferguson is. I don't even want to go into that. I mean, that's I don't think we don't have that much time left. Did you want to keep with this, or do you want to move to something else? Your choice.
Well, I was wondering if you want to talk about a certain Mornay STEYN league.
Yes. All right. So as you've kind of noticed in this, what we do is we talk about a bunch of sports, and that's what's going to happen. We focus mainly on we'll focus on EPL and Champions League. I mean, we've got some Champions League coming. Rugby, do a bit of cricket, maybe even some American sports, mainly NFL. Even though we've got a basketball jersey here, it's just there for show.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Mornay STEYN. He was a great player. Underrated, definitely. This is a guy, again, much in the Wilkinson mold, that people remember for his kicks, like his kicking. The kicking was only one aspect, and he was damn good at that. But one thing I want to talk about with comparing him to Wilkinson, as much as you hate him, I know you hate Wilkinson.
I hate Wilkinson.
You hate Wilkinson. Everybody hates Wilkinson. Even Lachlan over there hates Wilkinson, and he doesn't even know what's happening. Wilkinson could tackle. He was one of the best defensive fives I've ever seen until Matt Tamua decided to give Billy 12 Trees a lesson in Vietnam flashbacks.
It's very easy to pick on a 10 for seeming to be boring because the 10 is easily the most important player on the field.
Yeah. In terms of setting up an attack, yeah.
Yeah. And securing defense against a good backline play.
Yeah, definitely, it's the most important back. Sometimes you could argue fullback, but I think.
But you have a 10 here, and you have you would look at the back line of South Africa. I mean, Fourie du Preez, he is the best scrum half. He is the best scrum half in the world right now. You have John de Billy, is the best 12 in the world right now. You had Havana. You have Willie LaRue, the Cheetahs winger / fullback. I mean, he's just exciting as all hell. You have so many good players in that South African back.
Sorry, you mentioned Havana at the time.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, good. I mean, if you want to talk about exciting wingers, he's not as good as Rugby Jesus, but we'll get to Rugby Jesus at some point.
Super Rugby is coming, but you have a backline full of good players. They still need to be directed, and they still need to be put in their place to do what they do. And that's the role of the 10. And they have been in their place doing what they do, and they've been directed to do it perfectly, and you have to look at the 10 for that.
I think one thing that kind of happened was that South Africa and the Bulls, they kind of wanted to go into a shell. They went into a shell, which was every rugby team does it at an international level, where they kind of go, if this game is so important, we can't expand, we have to grind and get penalties. This is what, and you've seen this.
And this is how you win competition.
Yeah, but when South Africa threw caution to the wind, which is something you rarely see, but I mean, how good was STEYN? This rugby championship, he was probably the second best fly half.
If not for Cruden, he would be the best. But you have a player who could do everything that you want from a 9, a 10, a 12, and a 15, and he was doing it all, and he was doing it all at 10. And he was just good at everything. He was a 10 who could do what was needed, exactly when it was needed.
I mean, going back to your point about how many talented players they had, Australia have had talented backlines. They've had Curtly Beale when he's not, being under the table. They've had James O'Connor when he isn't joining Curtly Beale under the table. They've had Digby, who is one of the more devastating runners. They've had they've had a very good backline, at least a very good back three. They never had that fly half until now. I mean, now with Quaid seems to have decided, oh yeah, I'm pretty good.
Quite playing like luck.
Yeah, he's quite good, and Tamil outside him. Alright, obviously we're almost out of time, but I mean, we'll wrap this up about one extent, but it shows the difference. I mean, South Africa with the talented backline, Australia with the talented backline, the difference in South Africa. So, Mornay, we're obviously talking about this because Mornay's left the Bulls, he's already in Europe. And, yeah, I mean, you just say one more thing about him, and then I think we'll wrap it up.
He was undoubtedly one of the best 10 South Africa has had, and it may go down history as the best 10 South Africa has had, and will be in my top 10 of all time until someone comes along to kick him out.
Coming out in hardback in December 9th, next month. I'm assuming you want to write it.
Yeah, sure, why not?
It'll just be a list of 10 fly halves in like a 3-ring binder.
It'll be an A4 piece of paper.
We'll put that up. We can talk about that some other time. Anyway, that's all we've got for today, and I mean, we'll be back and around. I mean, hopefully you had fun. We had fun, and remember, like the channel, share the channel, subscribe to the channel. We've got great things coming up. We've got great sketches coming up. We've always got great sketches. A fantastic new series, The Other Side. It's going to be amazing. It's going to look so good. I mean, Jay, you're in it.
Much better camera. I play the dick who loves sport and doesn't care about much.
Sorry, there we go. I mean, we've got that. It's created by Mr. Winks, who's sitting over here. I mean, thanks. There he is. I've written a couple of episodes. They're pretty good. They're all fantastic. You're going to love it. And just remember, this can only grow. We can do great things together, boys and girls.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.
And thank you for listening. If we do, we got the little microphone. So professional. Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
All good. Out.